In the news tonight, strict curfew for Suvarnasori corridor. Soldiers urged to follow protocols. And stricter control of containment borders.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Edwin Nunn.
Pulamnaka, Fiji. Before we begin, a quick note to our viewers. We know that you've been waiting for the daily media briefing by the Permanent Secretary for Health, Dr. James Fong. We expect that he will be delivering his address anytime this evening, and we will cross live immediately to the Ministry of Health as soon as Dr. Fong is ready to deliver his address, and we'll bring that live to you in our news bulletin. But for now, we will continue with our nightly news, and a strict curfew will be imposed along the Suvarnasori corridor starting from 8 o'clock tonight until 4 a.m. Monday. All government agencies have been informed accordingly with instructions to ensure that the public abide by the curfew hours. For more, we join Josiah Nanunga live.
Edwin, speaking exclusively to FBC News, Acting Commissioner of Police Rusiati Tunrawu says curfew will be enforced starting from the checkpoint in the Lena Bay Silami to Longani and Sawani along the Kings Road, as well as areas along the Princess Road. This is to ensure the Health Ministry to thoroughly conduct their screening and contact tracing for potential COVID-19 cases. Tunrawu is reminding and urging Fijians, right now you still have an hour to return to your respective homes, and farmers in the Televu and Maitasiri province are not allowed to come in. No businesses and supermarkets will be open in the Greater Suva and Nosori area for the next during the curfew period, and Fijians are reminded to remain indoors from 8 tonight right up until 8 on Monday morning.
Josiah, it comes quite late in the day. Won't this catch people unprepared?
Edwin, FBC News today visited the supermarkets in Suva and Nambua and noticed that a massive number of Fijians were doing their shopping. From that observation alone, Edwin, we can gauge that a good number of Fijians were expecting something big to be announced tonight. Many people were able to stock up their essential supplies and groceries to last them through the curfew period. And it was worth noting that Fijians are now practicing or strictly following the COVID-19 safety measures, considering the current magnitude or the situation that Fiji currently experiences. Edwin.
Nakachosaya. Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama today spoke with members of the military, reminding them of their duty of care to the nation. This comes as the next batch of personnel make their way to Nandi to help authorities at our border quarantine facilities. It also comes as some soldiers have been stood down after revelations that they breached quarantine protocols, which led to the spread of COVID-19. Bainimarama, along with Defence Minister Inia Seruiratu and RFMF Commander Rear Admiral Villiamina Poto, spoke to the men. And soldiers guarding quarantine facilities have been directed to adhere to all COVID-19 protocols. Military Commander Rear Admiral Villiamina Poto says it's critical that soldiers on the front line follow the measures in place in order to safeguard everyone's well-being.
Military personnel serving as frontliners need to understand the outcome of their actions if they don't abide by the restrictions and protocols.
If we do not do our job properly, if we break the rules, if we break the COVID protocol, we are putting lives in danger. But if we do our job well, follow the protocol, we will also keep our families safe.
We've contained them, we've kept them where they are right now. We've kept them where they are right now. There is one group of soldiers who have been stood down, but further action will have to happen after we finish our containment program.
Rear Admiral Nopoto says public outbursts, especially on social media, will not detract the military from doing what is required of them. He maintains they will continue to do justice to their mission.
Our job that is required of us requires integrity. We need to be doing the right thing simply because it is the right thing to do. I know that there has been a lot of criticisms that come our way. That's all right. That's okay.
He has also thanked the family of those serving as frontliners during these trying times for their continuous support and understanding. Josiah Nanunga, FBC News.
And just a quick clarification, a few minutes ago, Josiah mentioned that the curfew along the Suvarnasori corridor is from 8 tonight to 8 a.m. Monday. It's in fact from 8 tonight to 4 a.m. Monday. Just re-emphasizing that the curfew starts at 8 p.m. and ends at 4 a.m. on Monday. The situation in Fiji is also gaining interest in New Zealand, with TVNZ's One News reporting on the COVID-19 outbreak. The New Zealand government has also offered support. Up ahead, vegetable prices go up, and volunteers help West screening. Welcome back. Police manning the border at the 8 Miles Bridge near Roops Nakasi are more stringent, with people wanting to move from one containment zone to another. FBC News visited the border today and saw people being turned away, and exchanges were taking place under close scrutiny. Lina Rees reports the movement of essential goods were facilitated at the border in adherence with COVID-19 safety measures.
A couple working to help a friend in hospital were happy with how police handled the situation at the border.
We've just helped him with his clothes. My husband has just walked to the other side to meet his son, who's getting clean clothes, so they're just exchanging.
I would like to commend the police. I know it's a totally new experience to most of us, but no, it's the law and we have to follow it. Yeah?
FBC News also spoke to a family who are trying to make final arrangements and also transport loved ones across the border in time for the funeral.
They are 80 years old and another one is 11 years old. And we have just given only a short hours just to pick them, and we have to get them this side.
Following reports of many still crossing from one containment zone to another, it was a different scene at the border today. No one was allowed through unless it was an emergency. Everyone was told to conduct their business at the border and go back to where they came from. Lina Rees, FBC News.
Prices of fresh produce have increased as vendors now have to bear additional costs to receive goods from suppliers who are on other sides of the containment zones. Market vendors and middlemen alike in Suva generally agree that cost of produce has increased significantly compared to pre-containment period. Koroi Tandulala reports.
Most market vendors are having to buy produce from their supplier for a much steeper price, and this translates into an increase in prices.
Before, it was actually, the prices were not that really high, but as compared to now, the prices are really, it is very high at the moment as we speak. And sometimes customers come in, they are surprised with the different prices that we have to serve them with.
I noticed that the prices of produce have gone up as compared to pre-containment, especially vegetables.
While it might be a bit steeper by $1 or $2, I just accept it as part of the reality of the lockdown.
Most of these vendors were able to get their fresh produce across from the border. However, they've had to bear an additional cost to their transportation.
We face difficulty in trying to get our produce from our supplier, mainly because they live outside of our containment zone.
With the different containment zones, we've had to pay extra to get our produce from Singatoka and Naitasiri areas.
Market vendors in the Suva containment area normally source produce from Tailevu, Naitasiri and from Singatoka. Koroi Tandulala, FBC News.
Fijians who travel from Viti Levu to Vanua Levu and other outer islands from the 17th of this month are urged to get screened or tested for COVID-19. Minister for Health Dr. Ifiremi Wangainambete says this will make contact tracing and screening much easier for teams on the ground. Eleanor Turangaivu has more.
Contact tracing for those who travelled from Viti Levu to Vanua Levu from the 17th of this month started last week, but authorities are finding it a challenge to track all individuals.
Important to do that because then, for example, if anyone is sick, that person can be isolated, can be tested, and then the virus doesn't spread. So it's about the important thing about the contact tracing, and also more importantly about arresting the virus in its tracks.
FBC News understands that several members of the public who travelled from Viti Levu on the 17th and 18th of this month have been screened and put in self-isolation. Most of these individuals have been cleared, while some are still awaiting their test results.
If you know somebody that's being called in the statements, in the press releases, please call them up and ask, have you contacted the Ministry of Health officers? If you haven't, can you please do so? You know, this is the time to actually do it.
Meanwhile, members of the Fiji Police Force are carrying out awareness on the COVID-19 safety measures in residential areas around Lambasa today.
No social gathering of any kind is allowed. Please stay at your own homes.
There is yet to be any cases of COVID-19 reported for Vano Levu, but several communities are on lockdown, not allowing any visitors until the crisis is over. Eleanor Turangaibiu, FBC News.
A quick reminder, we expect to cross over live to the Ministry of Health any minute now for the address by the Permanent Secretary for Health, Dr. James Fong, but we will continue with our bulletin for now. A number of volunteers have been assisting screening teams in Lautoka to detect if the virus has spread to other areas. With a huge task at hand, the volunteers have been a vital component of the Lautoka medical team as they target 60,000 people out of 95,000 living within the demarcated area. Philippa Naikaso reports.
These volunteers have been giving their all in the past few weeks, recording critical information around Lautoka that could help the Ministry of Health during this local outbreak.
Well, it comes with the challenges. You have to travel, you have to walk some distances. Some places are not reachable by cars and vehicles. Some houses a lot of dogs.
The volunteers underwent basic training that included how to use the thermal gun and picking up warning signs. Lautoka's Churchill Park has been their base of operation since last week.
Well, this country is in a pandemic crisis and it needs every helping hand.
So far, medical teams have screened more than 58,000 Fijians living in Lautoka, which also includes 1,975 random swab tests.
The public should understand the situation on the ground at the moment and assist and follow the advisories given by the MOH.
A few isolation centers have also been established in Lautoka, and this team will continue to work around the clock in trying to help contain the virus. Philippa Naikaso, FBC News.
Welcome to tonight's business report. There will be another increase in fuel prices across almost all commodities from tomorrow. The Fijian Competition and Consumer Commission has announced that motor spirit increases by 11 cents to $2.35 a litre, while premix is moving from $1.85 to $1.96 per litre. Diesel is up by 8 cents from $1.86, while a 4.5 kg gas cylinder will cost $14.41, an increase of 24 cents. There is a 64 cents increase for a 12 kg cylinder, which will now cost $38.43, and 13 kg cylinder is up to $41.64, an increase of 70 cents. And bulk gas moves from $2.64 to $2.70, an increase of 6 cents per kg. Auto gas moves from $1.70 to $1.81. Kerosene is the only commodity that remains unchanged at $1.43. Headline inflation returned to negative territory and stood at negative 1.2% last month. The Reserve Bank in its latest statement says this is underlined by lower food, alcohol and Yangona prices. Governor Arif Ali says in the near term expected to stem from increases in crude oil and global food prices, coupled with potential weather-related shocks. Ali says domestically economic activity remains weak. Liquidity levels in the banking system as of Wednesday remained high at over $1.4 billion. Ali says over 50,000 people have received the first dose of AstraZeneca vaccine and 26,000 doses that just arrived in the country are positive developments. However, he adds the recent local transmission cases and the resulting containment measures add to the near-term economic uncertainty and will likely delay the resumption of tourist activity. Here are the local exchange rates as set early this morning. The Fiji dollar rose against the two major trading partners, the Aussie and Kiwi dollars, as well as the Japanese yen. The Sangomoli fell against the Chinese yuan, US dollar, PNG kina and the euro. Prices were mixed on the commodities market. Crude oil rose a few cents but remains above $64 a barrel. Gold dropped, closing at $1,766 per ounce, and silver closed down at $26 per ounce. We now join Sinifa from HFC Bank for the latest from the money market.
The world's second largest economy, but the Aussie is steady. The Aussie has been boosted by a soft US dollar and a promising outlook for global growth recovery, which is supporting the commodity complex. The US dollar skidded toward a fourth straight weekly decline against a basket of major peers today, as the Federal Reserve stuck to its message of ultra-low interest rates for longer. The US dollar index was, of course, to end the week 0.2% lower, bringing its losses for April to 2.8%. A 4-week losing streak would be the longest since the 6-week slide to the end of July, and the monthly loss would also be the biggest since July's 4% slump. That's all for the week from HFC Bank. Take care and stay safe.
The Australian government has provided over $55.1 million in direct budget support to the government. Minister for Economy Ayased Kium says the grant assistance is timely as the impact of the second wave of COVID-19 in the past couple of weeks has been enormous on the government's ability to cater for the revenue it has already factored into the budget.
This, of course, is on top of the earlier agreement that we signed in December of 2020. For the Australian $22.5 million, which is about Fijian $35.6 million. So together with the two supports that we've got, direct budget support, we're receiving about $91 million Fijian.
And can I say that our current tranche of money is a further sign of or vote of confidence in your management, not only of the economy, but of this dreadful COVID pandemic.
That is the latest from my end, but coming up after the break, climate change affects food source. Stay with us.
Welcome back. A market vendor in Nosori, Tuta Douglas, says climate change has affected his supply of fresh produce. Douglas, who also owns a farm in Vanuatu, says his land is drying up and not producing as much fruit and vegetables as before. He adds this is the reason why a majority of vendors nowadays have increased their prices.
Now, even this COVID-19 and during this climate change, that price has been gone up, and people they are really facing a lot.
Agriculture can transform a person's life and contribute to growth, as well as alleviate various social issues such as poverty. Serema Mate, who is a farmer and vendor in Ovalau, says that the belief that the sector is male-dominated needs to change. Mate says she has been using a piece of land next to their house at Natokalo village for decades and has been earning over $100 a week. She adds it's enough to care for her family.
My husband and I have been practicing commercial farming for over 25 years. We have 8 children, and this is the only medium we are resorting to for our sustenance and to meet the educational needs of the kids at home.
And tonight, the FBC News speaks with the Minister of Local Government, Premila Kumar, on how her ministry is responding to this second wave of COVID-19.
Minister, how will the ministry address overcrowding at the main markets?
We are asking the shoppers, consumers, that they should not be overcrowding at the market, in the main market. It's better if they do the veggie shopping in the suburbs and around the vicinity where they live.
What plans are there for vendors who find it challenging to pay their store fees?
For vendors who are taking precautionary measures and they feel that the number is rising and therefore they need to be home. So we understand that. In that situation, I have informed all municipal councils that they should not be charging any stall fees to these vendors.
What is the ministry doing to those who mix juice and grog at the main markets?
Unfortunately, we had to close their business. As you know, that juice and grog needs to be consumed in a very safe situation.
And now we catch up with Jamie for all the latest in sports.
Thank you, Edwin, and good evening ahead in sports. Former seven-star enjoying rugby in the US. And boxing program postponed. There's more coming up. Close to a year after leaving his home for greener pastures, and former Fijian seven-star Apenisa Kaumalavu says he's learned a lot from playing in Major League Rugby in the United States. The Kaumalavu has a 2-year contract with MLR club Rugby United New York. The extended Skipper Provincial Cup break has allowed the Tailevu team to reflect on its season so far. With 2 losses from the first 2 rounds, head coach Saramai Mbai says the team needed some time to regroup before taking on another challenge. Bai says right now there is no chance to meet together, but they will have to work with whatever available resources they have during this period.
Refresh a little bit, work on the things that we need to work on before we, the game consume again, and then, I think we just need to focus on the areas that we need to work on.
The South Pacific Boxing Promotion Program that was set to be held in May has been postponed. Boxing promoter Freddie Chan says due to the pandemic and restrictions in place, the committee has decided to call it off for the safety of boxers. The event has been moved to July with an exact date yet to be confirmed.
We are urging all the boxers who have signed the contract. The program remains the same. The venue remains the same. All the boxers are requested to train on their own till we are given all clear by our government, our medical authorities.
While the Lambasa football side is prioritizing the safety of its team, they are also concerned about the impact the current situation will have on its players. Coach Ravnil Pratap says as seen last year, most players ignored the training program sent for them, which was evident in below par fitness levels when the season resumed. He adds they anticipate similar results when they return to team training once restrictions are lifted.
I think this break will take its toll on the players. Also, I think mentally and physically also, for sure, their fitness level will go down because team training and individual training, it makes a lot of difference.
The Rabbitohs again confirmed they are one of the teams to beat this season, continuing to rack up the victories, even with star fullback Latrell Mitchell missing through suspension. Down 16-14 at halftime, the Souths ran rampant in the second spell to seal a 34-20 win. That's it from sports tonight. After the break, Disney World's secret to maintaining a mosquito-free theme park. Listen more coming up.
trough of low pressure lies just to the east of Fiji and is gradually moving eastwards. Associated cloud and rain continues to affect the northern and eastern parts of the group. In the west, there were cloudy periods with isolated afternoon and evening showers expected. Eastwards from Pacific Harbour to Suva, cloudy with some isolated showers. In the north, occasional rain and a few thunderstorms, rain gradually easing to showers later tonight. At sea, northwest winds 20 to 25 knots, rough seas, moderate northwest swells, winds expected to ease to 15 to 20 knots later. The next high tide is at 9:34 tonight with low tide at 3:21 a.m. tomorrow. Sunrise is at 6:23. Cloudy conditions with showers and isolated thunderstorms forecast for tomorrow. And for Sunday, mostly cloudy with some showers expected over Vanuatu, eastern parts and interior of Viti Levu, Lau and Lomai Viti group, cloudy periods with isolated afternoon showers and thunderstorms elsewhere. And in Fijian Pulse tonight, we are asking, are you relying more on fast food during this time?
I like fast food because it saves time and cost.
I like my own food from own cooking.
I don't rely on fast food because I love my mom's food and therefore I always eat at home.
Now, we've all wanted to visit Disney World at least once in our lifetime, but did you know the theme park doesn't have any mosquitoes? And recapping our main stories, a strict lockdown now in effect between the Suva-Nosori corridor to be lifted at 4 a.m. Monday. Soldiers urged to follow protocol, and one new case of COVID-19 confirmed out of Ra. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station, Gold FM. To our poll question, we are asking, should face masks be made mandatory? Visit our FBC News website to answer. You can also send us newsworthy pictures and videos. Email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via our various social media accounts, including Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. You can also download our FBC app to keep updated with the very latest in news and sports and listen to our 6 radio stations live. That's your news this evening. I'll see you again next week. Until then, stay safe. Modemanda.